Good morning, good afternoon, and good night, and welcome to the Amateur Otaku podcast as they review Attack on Titan, the final season. How's everybody doing out there? I'm Brandon Alvarado, the Scarlet fan here, and I'm so excited to be here to talk anime with you guys, and not just any anime, one of the greatest anime of the last almost 15 years, Attack on Titan. And I'm not here to talk about it by myself. I'm here to talk about it with a man that is strong, and some people might say he's a Titan himself, the colossal and fluffy Emblemaniac, the Titan. What's up, man?
At least this anime is keeping a consistent quality.
We're not doing that today, Isaac. We know how you feel about the Promised Neverland. We understand you have a lot of pent-up anger, similar to the anger that Eren feels for the loss of his mother. But this is not the time to talk Promised Neverland. Yes.
Yes, you wait on Saturday.
Oh my God. So, Isaac, how's it going, man? You excited? We're going to talk Attack on Titan.
It's doing good.
Yeah, part one of the final season just wrapped.
And
what
it's
an amazing,
hilarious.
what an amazing part one. The consistency and quality of the episodes. Every episode was a gut punch. I love the fact that I was able to relive this story, and the fact that it felt so fresh in the anime form. To the point that I would say that the anime is superior to the book. It's a lot to say because the work that Isayama, Kodansha, Mappa have done with this final season is tremendous, and that is something to say because you and I both know that there have been issues with previous seasons. Even though the storytelling is phenomenal and it's been great, there's been issues with pacing, issues with the ways episodes have been structured, but this season in particular has not suffered any of the problems. Like if they've learned from all their lessons. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And it's been very good. So we ran behind on our recording of episode 73 and 74 last week. We're not able to do it. But then Isaac and I figured since the final season part one was going to wrap this last Sunday, it just makes sense to just wait for that last episode. So now we're going to cover all three episodes. It's not going to be a huge long episode today, but we're going to cover the main points of each of those three episodes, and we're going to talk about the future of Attack on Titan and what we're looking forward to. Also discuss the announcement of when part two is going to arrive, which I think it's a breath of fresh air for many anime and manga fans. When we finally got the date and also got the fact that a part two is in fact coming, as everybody expected and hoped, in spite of the weird way it was announced that it was the final season. That was it. So I'm glad that they're taking the correct
question
route.
that some might ask us right now. It's are we going to do a video about the last chapter, considering it's the manga is ending this month?
Personally, I would like to do one, but I think that's something that we should do unless people want it on YouTube, it should be something that we should do for our podcast listeners so that people that want to listen to it go there. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
We don't want to expose it in a way where if it's on YouTube, you accidentally click on it and oh my God, now I know the ending. Because the last thing we want to do, you guys know how we do things here at the Amateur Otaku. We do not want to spoil the fun for you guys. We want you guys to jump into the wagon and enjoy it with us. And if you guys want to avoid spoilers, guys, this is the ending of part one of the final season. You do not want to listen to this episode if you have not seen it or if you've not read it, because everything that's happening is going to be spoiler epic. But before we jump into our discussion of Attack on Titan, one of our good friends, Mike, who I call All Mike, the novice cinephile, sent us a question a couple of pods ago, and Mike, I'm sorry. It was mostly my fault that I overlooked it, but we're finally going to cover it.
It's your fault. We know that.
Thanks, Isaac, for being me. So let's go ahead and cover his question. I have it right here. So he asked us on Twitter. All Mike asked us at Amateur Otaku Pod. Here's the question for you guys. On March 25th, Funimation and Wakanim will give PlayStation owners free access to the streaming service for 90 days. What are your top recommendations? What should I be watching during these 3 months? Thanks and stay awesome. That's a very big ask. Because there's so much stuff. Because if they're going to have access to Funimation, I'm assuming that Funimation and Wakanim have almost the same library, right?
Sort of.
So there's a lot to dig in there. But thanks for the question, Mike. It's a great question. And as you know, we at the Amateur Otaku, we live to give recommendations to others. So Isaac, you start. What would you recommend, Mike? What would you recommend all Mike to go watch at Funimation? Start?
Because I have a list that I just need to...
How about you say one and then I say one?
No, you start because I need to take...
okay, so let me beat around the bush. Isaac, I am not ready. I need a minute to think about it. So how about you give him a list and then I'll say mine.
Well, I can start with one. Horimiya, which is a slice of life anime that's currently going on.
Nice. I would definitely say go watch ID Invaded.
ID Invaded is a great one too.
It's fantastic. It's short. And knowing you, Mike, you like to watch things that, and a lot of listeners out there like to watch shows where you can just dig in for a period of time. And I know for a fact that ID Invade is perfect because the first season is what is it? What was it, Isaac? 13 episodes, I think it is. So yeah. It's very dense and very enjoyable. And you can just go watch it within a couple of days and enjoy yourself and then jump to the next thing, especially if you're trying to make the most of the 90 days. What's your next one, Isaac?
The next one is... I don't know if it's on or not, but it's Made in Abyss, another series that we are covering.
Yes, definitely Made in Abyss. I would definitely tell you that you should go watch Fully Cooley. Not the entire series is there, but at least the first season is there, and I think it will be fantastic. Just because it's one of those animes that is just crazy for the sake of being crazy, but also is pretty deep if you dig into it. So Fully Cooley. What's next, Isaac? What else would you recommend?
I don't know if it's on Funimation because it's not on Wakanim. We don't exactly have everything like Funimation has.
Mm-hmm.
But Hentalia and Gintama, it's that on Funimation?
I believe so. I'm actually looking at it. I actually have my tablet here. So let's see. I think Gintama is. So let's see.
Because if you want some...
Gintama is on Funimation.
Yeah, because if there is if you want some crazy off-the-top comedy, Gintama is the perfect series for that. We need to cover that series one day.
Yeah. Another great one that we have not covered it here, but a lot of people have talked about how fantastic the show is.
Before you continue, Mike, if you're still here, imagine if Hitchhiker's Guide with the Galaxy with a sense of Looney Tunes while being on crack and
that's
filled with reference. Yeah, that's Gintama.
This show I have not seen, but it's getting so many great reviews. The Rising of Shield Hero. I think that's on Funimation. Let me see. And I think there's only one season that's out right now. So
I haven't watched it. My sis haven't. She said it's decent.
Yeah, so you can watch that. And the last thing I would recommend before we close this question is I just saw it and I was going to recommend it and I forgot it. Since you like, yes, it does. It does. It is insane. Gintama is insane. And it's as long as Naruto. Like, it's stupid. Like, it's been going on for like 7 seasons and it's all madness. It's all pure madness. Yes, Gintama is that crazy. I haven't even watched one episode of the show, but the memes that I've seen blow my mind and make me pee. So yeah, um, I would say Wolf's Rain. Wolf's Rain. It's one of those like melancholic animes, and there's a very particular one at that. It's on the vein as
Well, I wouldn't call Wolverine bad, but it's not exactly something
it's not
that's.
premiere. It's not premiere. I know, but it is one of those shows that if you're looking for that like outsider drama or like you know what I mean, like it is pretty good. So and it was and for us over here in the states, like Wolf's Rain was one of those anime that was on constant rotation on Adult Swim. So it was one of those that stood there, like stood the test of time, to so to speak. Um, so you should definitely check out because it's one of the things that just takes you back.
Samurai Champloo, in case it's on Funimation.
Yes, yes. For Samurai Champloo is there. We've talked about this before. Whenever you say that you hate Sword Art, Log Horizon just made its way to Funimation, so it's on there too now. So
is that series even gonna get a continuation, considering it abruptly start because of the whole controversy with the mangaka?
Yeah. So there's a list. There's a list, Mike. Hope you've had a couple of things to pick from. Now, I'm going to make a deal with you. If you watch any of these shows, we want to bring you in and talk about it, even if it's stuff that we've already covered. Just because we just want to build a conversation with people, and I think you're the kind of guy that when you watch stuff, you get it.
Well,
and you like talking about it. So you're a great reviewer too.
He has been a part of this show so many times that we might just have started to call him our unofficial co-host at this point. So
Yep. I would even take your comments as production notes. That's how powerful your presence here, Mike. But yes, thank you for the question, Mike. We always love seeing your support. And if you guys want to find Mike and everything that he does, he writes freelance for World Entertainment from time to time. But if you want to look at his stuff, as his joint, at Novice Cinephile on Twitter. He has an awesome podcast also with his friend John called Mike and John at the Movies. I believe you have a website or WordPress too, Mike. You might want to share it there so people can find you. So because he has great reviews, especially reviews on music, soundtracks, and shows. And I know he's done videos on like My Hero Academia, the use of music and stuff like that. Like Mike's stuff is tight, so you want to check his stuff out. Mike, make sure you put your link for your stuff in the comments so people can find you later. And we'll definitely share it here whenever you do. Isaac, I think it's about that time. People come here to listen to us rant about Attack on Titan in the best way because this one does land. So let's jump into our conversation of Attack on Titan.
That's a promise.
The final season. So chapter 73, Savagery. Oh, wow. These last 3 episodes were bombastic, amazing. Not because it's new material, because we all know what was coming. We had ideas of what was coming also with everything going on. But most of anything, it has to do with the fact that now we know that Zeke spinal fluid has made its way to the wine. And we talked about this last episode. And we know what happens whenever people ingest Zeke's spinal fluid, especially Eldians. What happens is that they get numb, but also they become primed to become pure Titans. And for those that don't know what pure Titans are the Titans that don't have a mind, like the ones that eat people and stuff like that. They become pure Titans that are at the mercy of Zeke's control, the pathways. And the most powerful thing about this whole thing is the fact that because the spinal fluid is mixed with the wine, the numbing effect of the spinal fluid has been masked. So there's tons of Eldians that have consumed Zeke's spinal fluid but have not grown numb, so they do not feel the effects of everything that's going on. And as we know, for the last couple of episodes, Lethal Weapon, The Adventures of Levi and Zeke, have been going on in the forest, where Levi has kept Zeke prisoner, keeping a watch on him, trying to find out what his plan is. Zeke, of course, is not talking. And it's a nice episode where we get not a flashback, but we get a lot of Zeke's story. But more importantly, I think the most important thing that happens in this episode, apart from how far Eren goes, is that the reason it's called Savagery is because of the final act of the episode, which the final act has to do with Zeke screaming, and also the hand-to-hand bout that occurs between Eren and Armin, and the verbal abuse to a degree that Eren puts out towards Mikasa. Because as we know, the last episode ended with Eren presenting himself wounded, primed to activate his Titan abilities. And he wants to have a sit down and talk with Armin and Mikasa. And that conversation, like if I thought that conversation was powerful in the manga, whoa, the delivery, the acting in this episode, oh my God, so good. Isaac, talk to me about it. That conversation between Mikasa, Armin, and Eren.
What do you want me to say? That it pretty much shows the... I don't know if I would call it evolution or the arrangement, or maybe just the change in the nature of how Eren has become compared to how he was in the beginning of this series.
Like we've been watching Eren make different decisions and act very differently, very savagely towards them. And we've seen him make different choices. We've seen him become this very, very aggressive and smart and brilliant battle tactician. But now we're seeing him as this force of nature, right? And as a leader, as a man with a vision. Because it's not till this point that I think this is the real first time that we hear him talk as a figurehead. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
we haven't seen him as a leader or as a lead, right? And this is like the first time that we hear him talk as this man on a mission that he is or has become. And the powerful thing here is how he starts the conversation, or whenever he asks, like, you're being manipulated by Zeke, or did he convince you when he talked to you? And his words are so powerful. And I love the words that he says because they're intertwined with the entire story of Attack on Titan, and they go to the root of Eren's biggest want. Because you know how when it comes to characters, it's not just about what they need, it's also about what they want, right? It's all about what a character wants and what he needs to go through to get what he wants, right? That's how you build a character arc. And his biggest want is that he wants to be free. He doesn't want to live like cattle. He doesn't want to live prisoner to the walls. And the first thing he says to them, or one of the most important things, is he says, I'm free. That's the difference. Like literally saying, that's the difference between you and me. I'm free. I am free to do whatever I want to make these decisions, to go forward towards my dream. And he confronts Mikasa and Armin in that same light and tells them, I'm free, which is why I'm doing these things. You guys are following a pattern. You guys are following a conduct. You guys are following something. Something is forcing you to not be free, to be a slave to your life. And that particular conversation is so powerful because First of all, he talks about the idea of the fact that when you inherit Titan's powers, you inherit their abilities, but you also inherit the memories and the feelings of the previous users. And if you're not strong enough, they can take a hold of you. And that is so powerful because when we think about Armin, Armin inherited the colossal titan from Berthold. And Armin's been talking to Annie all this time. And who did Berthold love? He was in
Annie.
love with Annie. And the idea that a great deal of Armin, to a degree, has been controlled, or the idea that has been manipulated by the memories and the feelings of Berthold is very powerful because it lets you know, okay, Eren has a point. And then the whole thing about the lineage of the Ackermans when it comes to Mikasa, the fact that their blood has this thing that they're built to protect, and that she's been with Eren because of that bloodline, because of that um, link. It means that and because she's lived all her life as a slave without knowing why she's a slave and not fighting against that, that's why Eren says that he hates her. And of course, there's the punching match between Armin and Eren beating the ever living out of man, he beats the shit out of Armin.
That's an understatement.
Yeah, like it's crazy. It's so crazy. And to think that all that happens in an instant, but that conversation stuck with me, man.
Had I not read the manga, I would honestly think he was about to kill him.
Yeah. No, and the way he says it, it's like, Armin, do you know why we've never fought hand to hand? Because you wouldn't stand a chance. It's not even a contest. And so now he's been savage with his words. I love the title of the episode, by the way, because it's so perfect. He's been savage with his words, but now he's been savage with his physicality. And like, what a physical, like, I like how rounded of a threat Eren is. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, you know how in most animes, when you have a threat or a villain, he always, it's mostly either like, there's very few villains that feel that they check all the boxes. You know what I mean? Like, some of the best villains are either the super cerebral ones or they're the super physical ones. You know what I mean? But he like embodies like physicality, brilliance, ruthlessness. Like, there's a lot of things that he is covering that how powerful it's how powerful it is to love him as a character, especially and seeing him change. And I think we talked about this before. What a powerful character development! Like, from the moment that we met him to get to this point, it's very, very strong. Um, Now, I'm going to ask you a question, and this is not a
Go
spoiler
for it.
question. What do you think Aaron's intention was by with that conversation and that confrontation?
I don't know how I should put it without being too spoilery, if I'm being honest, but
I have a theory.
it feels that conversation feels like a prime example of someone that feels the need to do something, but he don't want to have his comrades being hesitant. He doesn't want his comrade to hesitate to stop him if they so need to, instead of just I don't know how to put it. So take it.
I think that it has to do with the fact, um, what is the first way that you can fix a? What is the first step to trying to fix a problem? What's the first thing you
Yeah.
have to do?
Find a middle ground.
No, you have to recognize there's a problem. You have to
Oh,
accept that there's a problem. And I feel that Eren is actually doing this out of love. He's doing this out of tough love. What he's doing is confronting them with the reality that they are not able to see so that they can make a decision for themselves.
yeah.
Because and because remember, prior to all this and the flashbacks and stuff like that, Eren keeps talking about how they are the people that he holds the most dear. But he also understands that what he needs to do not just for them, but for himself, but he needs to do what he believes is right. And he cannot stop being or doing what he thinks is right just because of other people, because he needs and wants to be free. So he also wants his friends to be free. But he understands that they will not be free for as long as they become slaves to their past, to their Titan memories, or to their bloodlines. They need to get rid of all that. And or at least confront it. And I think that's what he was doing. And that's why I find it very interesting. And this happens on episode 74 that we're going to go there now. But in episode 74, is it 74 or 70? I think it's the last episode. I
Yeah.
don't remember. But in one of the last and the next episodes, John asked Armin, why do you think Eren said that? What do you think is his intention? Because one of the things that I love about John is that John observes everything. Like he's like very analytic, you know what I mean? Like and he's a very brilliant guy and he's asking the question like why do you think he did that? Because he goes like because you guys are the people that he cares about the most. Why did he do that? Like he's making them ask themselves, why did Eren say these things? Like there's something beyond him being just like he's not doing it to be a dick. You know what I mean?
Even
Like there's
though you can argue that that was a bit of a dickish move, but that's
it was a
besides
big
the point.
it was a power move. But also, you know, it's one of those things that's just super interesting. And what a great way to explore the idea of savagery. And these episode names are just crazy. Um, Now, let's jump into the next point of savagery, which is what happens in the forest. So, as they're having these conversations, Zeke out of nowhere starts running off.
And
And what
starting
does he
to and start training on his heavy metal screams.
and when he screams, something incredible happens and horrifying. Levi, every single soldier that was with Levi, because they drank the wine, they all become pure titans and attack Levi. Holy crap. See, in the manga, it was a huge event and it was crazy and it was powerful. But I love how the anime made this moment emotional. Did you catch that?
Yeah, because it's his comrades that he has
Yes.
fought
And they
with, so
don't.
it's
Yep.
not making it emotional would be a
Yep.
sin.
Yeah. But not only that, like the manga shows it and you feel it, but here, because of music, because the way they did the flashback and the imagery and the idea that he said okay to drink the wine. Like they show his guilt. You know what I mean? Like he's the
Yeah,
one that say, yes, you can drink it. And wow, it was a powerful moment. And the fact that as soon as he's going to attack one of them, he sees the face of his comrade that has just become a titan that's trying to kill him now. It's like what a horrifying move by Zeke,
yeah,
and what a powerful emotional hit for Levi. Like I'm going to tell you this, I don't care about other animes, but Levi is a badass character, yes. But again, just like Eren, what a rounded badass character. Like it's a badass character that you feel for. Like he's not just about, you know how you have those badass characters that they're all about, oh man, he did this awesome move. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
he has such an emotional story and such a powerful story throughout the anime. Like the whole thing with his uncle, the whole thing with Erwin, the whole thing with him choosing who to give the serum to, the whole promise to Erwin, everything that he survived, the whole thing how he feels responsible with everything that's going on with Eren. Like there's a
And
lot of stuff
then we
going
have
on.
the OVAs that is supposedly canon.
Yeah, like there's a lot. Like his story is phenomenal, and what a rounded off character. I love it. And
Are we covering the OVAs, by the way?
yeah, we can do that definitely now that it's gone on break. We can do those. Yeah. So, but what a fantastic story, right? And he kills all of his comrades and gets to Zeke, and literally he says, "You think that I wouldn't have killed my comrades at this point?" Like he knows that he needed to do it to set them free. But and I love the fact that he kills them all off screen. You know what I mean? Because it kind of like, it takes the bad taste away of you thinking that it's because it's not about him being a badass. It's about him doing mercy kills. And mercy kills are not things for you to show off.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
That's something that is, how should I put it? My dad has always spoken about that. It's one thing to show off in a movie, comic, you name it, in that a character kills off a certain character because insert reason here, but you don't have to. You don't have to go overboard with it. It's there is a line between implication, emotion, and the emotional, and just how you want to push the narrative. If it was, if you had seen him do that, it would just been, what's the word? I don't want to. What's the word now again? Dare I say repetitive? Considering,
yes,
they are not just mindless titans. Oh yeah, well they are mindless titans at that point, but
not for him.
There is not for him, and because of that, you're given enough emotional. It gives off enough emotional. See him like that, and just see him killing them one by one. It would just be going overboard.
Correct. And the thing is that it makes it perfect because he kills off all the Titans off screen, but whenever he's fighting Zeke, which is the enemy, you see that in all its glory.
Yeah,
because that's what it's about. You know, like he's the villain. Like they're not changing roles here. You know what I mean? Like Levi's still the hero, Zeke is still the villain. Zeke still did a villainous move, but the hero is still winning. Like it's one of those things because also Levi is like he's like your typical. He kind of has like an Endeavor vibe. Like he's like this tragic hero without the horrible backstory, but he's like this tragic.
He has a horrible backstory, but he's not an asshole.
Correct. As well, sometimes. Well, actually, he's an asshole to people. He's an asshole to the people that deserve it, like Zeke.
Okay.
Like whenever he talks about,
not the same type of asshole.
There you go. He's a lovable asshole. Again, Lethal Weapon, the Avengers of Levi and Zeke. Um, so he literally blows Zeke up, but doesn't kill him because he's trying to find out more information. That's how the episode wraps. Um, it's I like how they do the whole thing with the spinal fluid. Whenever Zeke screamed, everybody that wasn't in the range of the scream felt numb, but didn't transform. So they kind of understand what it means. So I like how it's like a tease of what's coming. So that's super awesome. Um, and I think that's it for this episode, right?
If I'm not mistaken, yes.
And I don't want to linger too much on chapter 74. I want to focus on 75 because the biggest thing on chapter 74 is that we finally find out Zeke's plan. And it all has to do with him coming in contact with Mr. Kasaver, which is the previous Beast Titan, who was a researcher. And he dedicated his life to knowing about Eldians, knowing the truth about Eldian history. We get a nice backstory of Zeke, of his story with Grisha, with his mother. What is it, Diana? I think it is.
Yeah.
Or Dina Fritz.
She who killed Eren's mother at the beginning of the show, but
right, and confirms that Eren has the coordinate or the founding Titan in season 2. So she was. It's one of those pure Titans that actually has a role in the show. So,
although I would argue that considering how they played up this episode and his story arc, and that his predecessor was more of a father figure for him than his actual parents to some degree.
And not only that, in the manga, they don't spend time showing you how bad parents they were. Do you know what I'm talking about? Like here, they're making a point to let you know that they were horrible parents to Zeke. Like they just used him. Like like they made it a point to show him being used. You know what I'm talking about? Like the manga's not that explicit, which I love because it makes Zeke, even though he's making these decisions that are horrible, it makes him more of a tragic character. That he's being shaped by these decisions, and it all has to do with him choosing freedom. And the fact that he gets to his master plan as a means of love for Mr. Kasaver and understanding, and because of his understanding of the suffering of Eldians, Zeke's master plan is revealed, and it's called Zeke's Euthanization plan. So he plans to join forces with Eren, and we see them have a conversation with us at the end of the episode. And the plan is to make the entire race of the Eldians sterile, so that they can all die off and be eliminated from existence. Because this world, as Eldians, is so horrible that the best thing for the Eldian race at this point is to never exist. And what a sad and hurtful conclusion or an existence it has to be, that because of the suffering that you've suffered and because of the suffering that you've seen your compatriots suffer, to think that that is the only solution. And be convinced that that is the one salvation for Eldians. It is so heartbreaking. You know what I mean?
That's an understatement.
So it's great to know his intentions. It's great to know that that's what he's trying to do, and it makes sense for why he's doing it. But it's so horrific and so heartfelt. And I also want to talk about, I think the biggest point of contention here, or the biggest point of discussion here, and I want to say one thing first, and then we'll wrap up the discussion on that episode. The way the episode ends was badass, that he's so convinced that he's doing the right thing that he almost kills himself by activating the thunder spear that Levi had to his hip, and he blows Levi away, which we don't know if he survives or not, which is holy crap, Levi. And then he leaves himself almost to die. And we get a glimpse of a girl. I know who that person is. Isaac knows who that person is. But a lot of people don't know. So we get a glimpse of something. And then we see a Titan that he had created, open its belly, and put him inside. And we know that Titans have amazing regenerative abilities. So the fact that he's being put inside of the belly makes me think that that's how he's taking care of his body to be able to recuperate, which makes perfect sense. Um, because of the way Titans works and the fact that he's controlling that Titan, and that Titan is not necessarily eating him to get his powers. So yeah, that. But I think the biggest point is this: knowing Eren, do we really think that Eren's on board with Zeke's plan? I know we see a conversation, but it's one of those things where all this talk about freedom, and Zeke, all he wants to do is to make everyone sterile. I mean, yes, no condoms, but how is that in line with Eren's philosophy up to this point? I don't think it is. What do you think?
I mean, first off, you're calling me Aquaman. Second of all, it's I can see that they are using each other to some extent, so without each other knowing it. Yeah. If that's what you mean.
Yeah, I think you hit it right. I think you hit it right on the nail. Right. You hit it right on the head when you said that they're both using each other without knowing it, and it has to do with the fact that they are using each other. And I think that it also has to do with the fact that I don't think Zeke understands how much Eren is using him. Because to a degree, he is convinced that Eren thinks the same thing. But because of Eren's philosophy, I cannot even begin to accept that. Because euthanization so everybody dies, that's not what Eren wants. He wants them to live free. And I still go back to the end of season 3 where he's looking at the ocean and he says, our enemies are over there. And then he asked, with tears in his eyes, he goes, if we go across the sea and kill our enemies, will we finally be free? Bro, that I get goosebumps. Like that's just powerful. So I think that us knowing Zeke's plan now means that things are probably going to play differently, because I think Eren has plans of its own. And I think, especially now going into chapter 75, I like how we're finally getting moments where Eren is front and center. You know what I mean? So because for the longest time in the season, we're barely seeing Eren. But now every time we see him is like very powerful. The whole thing of him being a threat and being able to activate his Titan abilities, the way he's able to hold off regeneration, like there's so many things that are just so cool. But Pike finally reveals herself. So we know that she tries to free Gabby, and she confronts Eren. And it's kind of like trying to get information from Eren. What was your favorite part about this episode?
The ending. Because, how should I put it? It's the equivalent of... yes, for record, I wasn't able to follow the original Dragon Ball Z when it's aired, considering, you all guys know how the distribution with the anime here in Sweden is and all that jazz. But anyhow, it's the equivalent of having a cliffhanger. The cliffhanger being when Son Gohan going Super Saiyan 2 against Cell in the Cell arc. And that just made me laugh out loud because, it's such a cliffhanger to end upon.
Yeah. The idea that the Marleyan Army has arrived to Paratus, the idea that Pike was playing with Eren and setting her up with Galliard. The fact that we have that little glimpse of Galliard in the midst of all the scouts, which is awesome, because a couple of episodes ago, we did see that Pike had infiltrated Paratus, similar to the way John and Eren infiltrated Marley. But now we know that more people have infiltrated Paratus. Even Galliard has infiltrated the scouts, which is so awesome because it has this Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy kind of thing, them sneaking in and whatever. And if I'm not mistaken, when Pike infiltrated, she was wearing a scout jacket, right?
Yeah.
That was one of the, like, she's awesome. I love that character. She's so cool. Like, I would love to see an OVA just of Pike, because Pike is such an awesome character, and what an awesome female character. I would even say I kind of like her a little bit more than Mikasa, but that's a different story. Yeah, I said it. I mean, she's brilliant. She is strong. She is conniving. I mean, and we've read the manga, so I'm going to stop right there. But Pike is awesome. So yeah, I want to see more of that. But I love how the theme of the first part of the season has been the idea of war, and the idea of war between men, and the idea of Titans as weapons of war, because it's not just about the horror of the Titans and the power of the Titans. This has become a war drama, a war action show, right? And the idea that the part one ends with the cliffhanger of the counterattack of Marley against Paratus, and Eren being the target. So it's now Eren, the Jaegerist, against the Marleyan Army in Paratus soil. Like, that cliffhanger to me was perfection. It was great. It was great because it brings to a T, and it kind of connects with the opening. You know what I mean?
But you see what I mean. You get what I mean. That it's the equivalent of
yes.
Ending.
Yep.
Having the cliffhanger be Son Gohan becoming a Super Saiyan 2 against Cell in the Cell arc.
No, not only that, the Titan transformation is one of the few times that you see the transformation with so much detail. You notice how they detailed his entire transformation into the Attack Titan?
Yeah.
Like, they detailed it everything, and then at the end, you see Reiner's face, and then you see Eren's face, and what does he say? Bring it on, Reiner. Yo. That was awesome. That was just awesome. That was awesome. I mean, there's conversations that occurred, but I don't think that none of the conversations that occurred in this episode had as much weight as the ones that we had on episode 73. You know what I mean? Like, this episode was really all about setting up the cliffhanger, and what a great cliffhanger. It wasn't the cliffhanger that we both thought it was going to be, but I'm happy that it wasn't, because this one was great.
I know several people that saw that episode and went, wait, they're ending where now?
Yep. No, but the cool thing is, go ahead.
And that makes me just burst off laughing, if I'm being honest. Maybe I'm a sadist on that regard. I don't know.
But the good thing is that as soon as this part one wrapped, they announce that part two of the final season is going to be next winter 2022. So it's going to be next year. Now,
as in winter, as in December or in January.
And in my case, I am not upset about that. I am not upset about that at all.
Winter, when they mean winter, it's you can take it as the beginning or the end of the year. That's what I mean.
Well, yes, very true. But I wouldn't be surprised if it's actually going to be, it's probably going to be January or February. Unless COVID really put things behind. Because to think about it, we probably need another 10 episodes, maybe. Not a huge amount to wrap up the series.
I would say 12, depending on the last chapter.
Yeah. But I'm excited, because if they're going to give us the same quality of a season as they did this last part one, I'm going to wait as long as I have to for it, because the fact that I've enjoyed this show as much as I've had, even beyond having read it already, means bring it on. I'll wait as long as I need to wait. I am very happy with this. And also
Hey,
it gives me time to read the entire manga again and watch the entire show again.
at least it can't be worse than a Promised Neverland season 2, but that's besides.
Oh, you couldn't help yourself, huh?
Sorry, but that manga is one of my favorite manga in a long time, and
Yeah. But yeah, Eren is facing Marley. What a great way to end part one of the last final season of Attack on Titan. Isaac, this has been an amazing conversation. I've loved this. This is awesome.
it has certainly been awesome.
So we're gonna wrap up here, guys. This is gonna be the end for a little bit of our Attack on Titan coverage. We will be covering the OVAs for Attack on Titan, and we might also cover other mangas. Like we've talked about doing Junior High. We talked about doing things. Well, if you guys want us to do a lot more Attack on Titan coverage of all the weird stuff out there, let us know and we'll cover it on video format. But of course, until the season progresses, we will not go back to reviewing it. Thank you for following us for a season. Keep watching the videos online. Let us know if you love our Attack on Titan coverage because we love talking about it and it's been a ton of fun. Isaac, on the webs, where can people find you, my brother?
Well, you can find me over at Emblemaniac, like you see under my profile pic, and you can find my work over at the Wobem Entertainment.
And you can find me at the Scarlet Fan 52 on Twitter, at the Scarlet Fan 52 on Instagram, and as Brandon Alvarado on Facebook. I do original music, post stuff that interests me, anime, and I do write from time to time to Wobem Entertainment as well. And very, very soon, more posts of Amateur Otaku will come up in Wobem Entertainment. So keep an eye on that. I'm working on putting out more of our old archive on YouTube and keep posting everything on the podcast channel. If you love what we're doing at the Amateur Otaku Podcast, please feel free. Please like, subscribe, and share with your friends. And hit that bell notification icon on YouTube so you don't miss any streams or any episodes. Also, if you love listening to the podcast version of the Amateur Otaku, you can find us on Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Radio Public, Stitcher, and many, many more. Guys, thank you for joining us. You guys are awesome. Till next time. Peace.
Peace.